everyone. Welcome to College Financial Prep's Preparing for College podcast. Today, I'm so excited to have my friend and colleague, Eleanora Ferrante from Square Peg Square Hole Coaching with us. And she's going to be talking about the college visit.
Thank you so much for having me. I love doing this and having the opportunity to meet with you and talk about something that's important for both of us, right? The college visit, because it gives our students so much information about what they're thinking for college and what would be a really good fit. Because as both of us, we know that there are three pieces to it that we're looking for: academic, social, and financial. And while my end of the business is a little bit more academic and social, and yours is a little more financial, there's so much overlap that's really key that people like us work together to help our students figure out the best way to figure out college, what makes sense for them.
Definitely. No, I wouldn't want any students to attend a college without visiting and knowing. I mean, you could say, yeah, this school has the lowest price tag, but you need to check it out and make sure it's going to be the best fit.
That is such a great point, because when COVID hit, I had students who actually couldn't visit colleges. And I have one student I'm working with now. She's applying for grad school. She went off to college sight unseen.
Wow.
And it, given her personality, it worked. But that was a huge leap of faith and not something that would work for the bulk of my students. Because I've seen kids go off to college sight unseen, and it hasn't worked because it's not been anything like the brochures.
Right. I mean, during that time with COVID, I remember talking to families and telling them, check out the YouTube videos, the official and the unofficial, and certainly stuff like that, their social media pages. And certainly I feel like all families should be doing that regardless, even when they're putting together their college list. But now that things have opened up, you can get back on campus again.
You absolutely can. And I'm so excited because I was able to get back on a number of campuses last year. There's nothing like the feel of seeing students on campus, interacting with people, and really getting a good sense of what kind of students would be happy here, right? Because college visit really has three purposes. First of all, it's to figure out and then to fine tune your college criteria. What is it that you're looking for? I get a lot of students who come to me and they're like, big, football, math is the major I want. And that's pretty much it. Right? And it's really hard because there are 4,000 schools in the United States. Right? So, there are a lot of schools that are going to fit those kind of criteria. Right? We need to figure that out and narrow it down a little bit. Another reason you want to get on a campus is you want to start interacting with the students, the faculty, admissions, admin, get a good feel for what the interactions will be like and who the people are. Are they your people? You're going to spend 4 years with them, right? And this is the one time in life that you really have the most say in who you spend your time with, right? You go to high school, even if it's a private school, you kind of have you're getting whatever is there, right? Because you're going to a local school, you're getting the local public school, right? Once you get out of college, you work with whoever they put you with. But college gives you a chance to kind of hone in a little bit on that, right? And a college fair also gives you a chance to connect with admissions. Find out some really key pieces of information. What are they looking for in a student? Right? What are their
So this is the college fair now that you're talking about.
Actual college visit, right?
Oh, okay.
When you get on campus, admissions officers are going to be the ones running the sessions. Right? Sometimes they'll be available to you before and after to talk with. Right? And if nothing else, maybe you'll get lucky and you'll have the admissions rep who is the admissions rep for your region. So I recently did a college tour. I get to do it with some of my colleagues, and back in May, I got to see one college, and I was describing one of my students to the admissions rep who was taking us around. He knew her. He was like, "Oh, that's so and so." I'm like, "It is." And so he was our regional rep, but our region is pretty big on Long Island. So I was impressed that this gentleman not only knew my student, but knew everything about her. Fast forward, she got accepted and she's there and so happy, right?
Fabulous.
Right. And so it's really interesting. So a college visit gives you a chance to do that. People always ask me, what's the best time to visit a campus? And the answer is when students are on campus.
Oh, definitely.
Because you really want to see the interaction and what's going on. Now, I know a lot of parents are going to go, but wait, I can't do that. My kids are doing school. My kids have this, my kids have that. Understood, right? So if you're going to go in the summer, and I know a lot of you will, it's try and do it earlier when the summer sessions are at least in session, right? Because at least you get a little bit more of a sense of what's going on campus. the school pictures, when you look at the brochures, the schools up in the Northeast, they show kids in shorts. That's not the game that you'll see most of the time. When you're on campus at Syracuse, you're not always going to be in shorts. Just a little FYI, hate to spoil it.
You'll see the boys in winter jackets and shorts. It's
You might that, right? But so, you have to understand that too, that when you go on campus, you want to get a sense of what the school is like most of the time, right? And that's when the kids are there. So the official tour is really the way to go if you have the opportunity, because it gives you what the school wants you to see, which is okay, right? Sometimes that's pre-planned, sometimes it's a little more free-form. You get the info session, you get to walk around campus, but people say to me all the time, well, I can't get there when the official tour is on. It's okay. Most of the schools these days have self-guided tours. I've done some that are phenomenal, right?
So tell us about the self-guided tours, because I've never done one of those.
Okay, so maybe it was like 2 years ago, I went to University of Richmond and I did their self-guided tour. Pulled it up on my phone. It told me if I stand here, this is what I'll see. I got to experience all of campus. I got to figure out the different aspects of it. Last year, I went to WPI, Worcester Polytech, and really cool school. So if you are an engineer, but you're looking for a school that allows you to integrate with a lot of other programs and not just focus on your engineering, that's a great school. And so they had a self-guided tour. I walked on, they're like, hold your phone up, scan it here, here, and here. It'll tell you what's going on at the school. So that wasn't really an option 5 years ago.
No, definitely not.
So one perk to COVID, right? These self-guided tours can be really good. That being said, I did one last year that was horrible. I won't name names on that side, but it was really difficult. I thought, if you can't get this right, that's really unfortunate because this is a big piece to it. And then you can't always get on campus, right? So to your point before, again, because of COVID, the virtual tours, the virtual information sessions are really good now. Right? And you can get a really good sense of campus, what's going on there. I highly recommend, even if you get an official tour, to do the virtuals as well, because it gives the college a sense of that this is important to you, that you're taking the time to sign up for it. Right. So to that point, make sure you register. Right. So that's a key tip for all of this. Don't just go on campus. Make sure you've registered and college knows that you're there. Right. Because some schools are still paying attention to demonstrated interest. It's decreased in importance at a lot of places, but it's still, for some of them, they still track it. Right.
How come it's decreased in importance?
I think two things. One, it's a sense of during COVID, they couldn't do it as much and they found other ways to look for interest. But the other piece too is in terms of, DEI with the equity aspect of it, I might be able to afford to take my kid to visit 20 schools. I work a lot of students who can't.
Right.
Right. So where's the equity?
Right.
Right. So,
but those virtual programs are great. Exactly.
And that's where you get a chance to get into it, see what's going on the campus, ask questions. A lot of times they'll have Q&A at the end. Right? I love walking on campus kind of unannounced, right? And just going and meeting people. And I highly recommend that you do this. Now, I know parents are going to do this with kids and the kids can be like, oh my God, mom, don't ask those questions, right? So mom, dad, grandma, whoever the person is taking you on campus, you got to let the kid do it, right? This is not your space. But I had a great experience last year, 2 schools. I walked into admissions and I started talking to the young ladies who were the students who were running the front desk. I spent an hour talking to them. I found out so much about the school. I got a great sense of what the students were like, right? Another campus down the road from there, walking through the buildings. Definitely want to walk through buildings if they let you in, and they usually do. One professor was like, oh, do you need help? And I said, well, I said, you know what I was doing? An hour later, I left his office. And he had a student in there with him, and she was great, right? So I got this great experience in talking to him and finding out programs that I might not have heard about if I was just focused on the info session, right? And to that point, like another key tip, make sure that if you do that and you talk to people, get their contact info, get a business card if they have it, and then send a thank you note. Hey, that was great. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come in and talk with you. I really learned a lot. Right. So if you're going to go visit a school, how do you do it? What's the key things? Well, I always recommend you start local, right? Especially you're lucky in a lot of places. There are so many great schools around you. So if you have no idea what you want, That's okay. Go visit a couple different schools, a big school, a small school, a
A
liberal.
city school, a suburban school.
Exactly,
Right.
right? Because there's such different feels. Like if you go down to Washington, D.C., you can get big campus, you can go see U Maryland. You can get a suburban campus at American. You can get an urban campus at GW, right? If you want a religious feel, go see Catholic, right? Boom, boom, boom. You can knock out a whole different type of schools in one visit, right? Philadelphia is the same way. New York's the same way. Boston's the same way.
And I remember when I was going through the college process with my own son, I remember first we started looking locally at some schools, and then even like planning a vacation, what schools may be around there, so just when you're thinking early on, maybe not totally in the heart of admissions, applying for schools, but yeah, start thinking early where to go.
Absolutely. My kids used to make the face at me, but I would drive them through every college campus. Once my son hit 8th grade, like, let's go see what UVA looks like. Let's go see what this looks like. And they're like, Mom, but it helped, right? Because
Definitely.
when we started doing official tours, they had a sense of what they wanted and didn't want. And you might be really shocked at what you think you want, right? So to my point before about the one kid I knew who went off to school sight unseen and hated it. I'm not going to name names because it was just for him, right? But it was a big time school that everybody loves. Everybody loves. You walk on campus, you drink the Kool-Aid, everybody thinks it's great. And we were like, oh yeah, it seems like it's a great space for him. He'll love it. And he hated it. He ended up loving a school in an urban setting, which was completely opposite of what we all expected for him, right? But once he got on that campus, he goes, oh, it gave him what he was looking for, right? So you want to make sure you start locals. You want to make a list of places that you want to see on campus, right? So register for the tour, first of all, right? Make sure you check out the college visit page because the visit page tells you how to register, how to sign up. Sometimes you do an info
A lot of
section
people don't
separate.
realize that you need to register for college tours in advance. Some people will just schedule, they make plans, they're going to go visit the school and then surprised that they couldn't get a tour.
Exactly. And a tour is not the same thing as an info session. Sometimes you have to sign up for them separately, right? So, and if you have a particular interest, engineering, liberal arts, right? You want to make sure you sign up for tours that are specific to that if they're available. Gives you a great chance to see that. If you, if you get there, you want to make sure you get the most out of it. So think about the places you want to see on campus, right? So if you're an engineer, you want to see the engineering quad. If you're an athlete, you want to see the athletic facilities. Everybody should see the dining hall and eat there.
And the dorms.
And the dorms, right? Sometimes they're a little funny right now about letting you into dorms, but as best you can, try. But definitely go eat in the school. See if you like the food. If you are a finicky eater or if you have special needs, make sure they have what you want there, right? And that you like what's there. It's also a great place to just sit and observe the students, right? They're in their natural habitat.
Also, the student center is great for that, right?
Absolutely. You definitely want to go check out, look at the school union, what's there, right? I say you want to look up, down, and around. Look at the banners up on the walls, right? When you're walking through a school, when you're checking things out, look around to see what the student population looks like, the faculty, the buildings. Look down. College students love to put things on the ground. They write on chalk on the sidewalk, right? You want to see what the activities are, what's coming up this weekend. Is it stuff that looks fun to you? Is it interesting? Are they bringing in lectures that you think, oh, wow, that's really fascinating. I can't wait to do that. If you're in a science hall, look at the posters. What are these students doing research on? Are you finding it fascinating, right? So is it a space that's good for you? Go check out the library. You know, I love my libraries. Make sure you check out the library because you should use them. And if you like to work out, check out the fitness centers, right? So all those aspects of it, right? You really want to just get a good feel. Now, the other key thing is make sure you're taking good notes. So by all means, people, go check out my website because I keep there's a resource out there. It's college visit notes, things that you want to check out and write down, the majors that they have that you're interested in, the campus layout. Did you like what you saw? Do they have activities that you want, fraternities, sororities, whatever you're looking to do? Look around off campus, right? Because some of these schools are in the middle of nowhere and some people love that, right? And some schools are in the middle of everything. And so people love that. My own son, we went to a school, urban school. We sat down for the info session. He lasted half an hour and he was begging me to leave. He's like, I do not want to be in a city. I'm like, oh, interesting, right? So what is it that you like? What don't you like, right? Take pictures. After a while, every school looks the same, right? And I don't care if you're talking about, Penn State, Villanova, and Drexel. After a while, they all look the same, right? Even though those are three completely different schools. Right? So I highly recommend no more than 2 schools in a day, because it gets very overwhelming very quickly. Right? So you do your tour, you ask a lot of questions, right? That's a great opportunity to talk to, whether it's the admissions person asking questions or it's the student that's taking you on your tour, right?
What if you can't do a tour? What if the child wants to just go and stay with their friend?
It's okay to do a visit that way, but then you get a very one-sided feel for the school, right? So I always recommend, if you can get on campus and do that, great, but also do an official tour, because unless the student you are staying with really knows their campus, you're going to miss out on a lot of important information. Right. So they might know a lot about the architecture program and nothing about nursing, which is something you really care about.
Got it. Okay.
Right? But it is fun if you can stay on campus and meet the students and get a feel for what do they do. So a little bit of both is the way to go.
Fabulous.
Right. So if and then you want to think about, what questions do you want to ask them? Right. So there's a lot you could be asking people. You want to know about the admissions process potentially. What are they looking for in admissions? Financial aid is really key. You might want to ask some questions around that. And Vicki, I'm sure you could give me a ton of great questions to ask about financial aid, right? On your
certainly, what schools does what scholarships does the school offer? What percentage of need do they meet? Certainly different things to see how the school will be able to help out financially.
Yeah. What I found was interesting, that a lot of parents don't seem to realize that the deadlines for financial aid don't always match up with the deadlines for admissions. And some people think, oh, I can apply whenever for the financial aid, but you and I both know that's not the case.
No, definitely not.
Right. So
it's important to pay attention to the dates for both admissions and financial aid. I mean, I'm being serious. I was working with one client at 11 p.m. one night because it was due the next day. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the same one that was doing the same thing with me. Right? You also want to think about the activities that are on campus, right? Ask them what's available, right? What's out there? What kind of things can I do? What do you have? What's your career center look like, right? What's going on there? What kind of students are happy here? What are your traditions? What's fun? Like my alma mater, there was a big thing that would go on between the architect and the engineering students. The architects would build a big dragon, and then the engineers would try and, burn it up, basically, right? And it was so much fun to watch and be a part of. And I wasn't in engineering or in architecture, right? But it was a great tradition, right? And a lot of schools have those things. So are those things you want to do, right? So
I was going to say, let me ask you one other question. So, the students have visited schools, they've applied, accepted student days are coming up. Any quick tips as far as accepted student days? I mean, it could be the first time that the family's visiting campus.
It could be, right? And so the difference between an admitted students day and a typical college visit is that the dog and pony show is all about you now, right? So at the first one, they want you to apply and they want you to like their school, but admitted students days, you have the upper hand because they've already said yes. Right. So now you're going to get a lot more detail. So really go hone in on what are you going to get for your major, right? What are the courses that you're going to give me? What are the careers and next steps that people have after finishing here? What am I going to get in that honors program? Is it really going to be worth it to me to do that? What if I want to finish up early? Is it possible to do that? Right. If you're a recruited athlete, or a performing artist or a visual artist, right? Connecting with the coaches and spending time. Or if you're a violinist, connecting with the director of the symphony, the conductor, right? So who are those people you're going to be spending your time with? Because I've seen students who are performers and then they go and meet the people that they're going to be taking lessons from and they're like, ooh, this is not working, right? So you might love the campus, but if it's not going to give you what you need,
Right.
is the point, right? So it's 4 years of your life. You need to be comfortable on campus. It needs to be a good academic social fit, but it is not the end all and be all. There are plenty of schools where you could be happy. So you're looking for the place that gives you what you need. So when you get home from a college tour, whether it's Admitted Students Day or a visit, you want to identify trends, right? What are the things that you liked about the schools? What majors are sounding and programs are sounding interesting? You want to start fine-tuning your criteria to really understand what's my end goal for college? How will these schools help me get there? Will I fit in academically? Is it higher than what I want, lower than what I want, or just right? Size, right? So BC, Cornell, Penn State, BC, Cornell are basically the same number of students, but BC's campus is this, right? And Cornell's campus is this. And Cornell campus is the same size as Penn State campus, but Penn State's got 3 times as many students, right? So you need to get a feel, right? To quote Mama Bear and Papa Bear, right? Is it, too big, too small, just right? Size-wise, student-wise, make sure you're going to be happy there. And when you're done with it, make sure that you're following up with anybody appropriate. So that professor that you happen to meet on campus, the admissions officer who took time to do a one-on-one, get a business card, send them a thank you note, follow up with questions if you have them, keep those connections, right? It's really important to do all that because you want to build relationships when you can, right? So the initial reason to do a college visit is just to get a sense of what am I looking for? What do I want? What is a school really like? You might be really surprised what you want once you start doing some of those visits, right? And then when you get to the Admitted Students Day, those final tours, is this really the place I'll be happy for the next 3, 4, maybe 7 years if you're doing a combined program, right? So ask questions. Don't be afraid to do it. Students, if mom or dad or whoever's taking you is asking questions, I know you might be a little embarrassed, go with it because a lot of times those are really important questions and you might not realize how much you need to know that information until after.
Exactly. I'm laughing thinking back when I was embarrassed when my parents asked questions like now.
Yeah. My kids were like, Mom, please, right? But then, sometimes it's important to know those pieces of it, right? So you'll look at your pictures, you'll fill out your notes, you'll make sure you have a good sense of what they all are, and hopefully you'll find the 10, 12 schools that are the right schools for you to apply to, because that's what we're looking for, right? You want to have a nice range of schools that fit you academically, socially, financially. Rare that you're going to find one school checks every box. And please don't fall in love with the school, right? Because there might be reasons why you don't end up there, but like a lot of them, right? That's always what I'm looking for. I want you to like a lot of schools that you'll be happy in.
And what I always say is that no matter what school the child ultimately ends up at, there's still going to be plenty of opportunities for them. Socially, academically, it's all good.
Because it's all about the student being engaged, right? You can come out of Harvard and not be successful. And you can come out of a local school and go on to great things, right? We have plenty of presidents who went to, the flagship public schools in their states, right? As well as a top Ivy, right? And it doesn't matter where you go, as long as you take full advantage of everything that's there, that's right for you.
Exactly. That could probably lead into a whole separate podcast.
I'm ready. You let me know.
Well, I am so thankful that you were here today. Such a great topic. So thank you.
My pleasure.
How can everybody find you, Eleanor?
Sure. So the easiest way is to find my website, Square Peg Square Hole Coaching, spshcoaching.com. You can reach out to me by phone. It's 631-629-5568. Or of course, always email. All that's on my website though. So I hope you go find it, contact me, and love to chat more.
Fabulous. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed today's episode of College Financial Preps Preparing for College. Take care. Bye.
Bye.